So anyway, as I say, my mother saves various clippings and things which may be of interest. This was recently in the Daily Mail, in one of those kind of gossip columns. Ricky Gervais's cringe-worthy dance routine as managerial buffoon David Brent was undoubtedly the highlight of BBC comedy The Office. Perhaps credit for the scene should not go to Gervais, however, but his lanky co-writer Stephen Merchant. For I hear that 6'7" Merchant has been attracting a great deal of female attention at the so-and-so pub in North London, until he took to the dance floor with Brent-esque results. Says my mole, most of the feminine throng looked away in embarrassment. Putting it kindly, he was rather ungainly, like a giant albatross hopping on stilts. Right, now then. I'll take issue with this, because firstly...
You wouldn't be attracting female attention in the first place.
Rick, if I had been, I'd have phoned the Mail myself. Point A... Right, I seem to remember distinctly I was talking to one of my mates the whole night and we were discussing about the fact we were too shy to talk to girls. So wrong there. Yeah. Point 2, as you well know, if I take to the dance floor, which on this occasion I didn't, I remember distinctly not because I love to dance, I would not have been described as a giant albatross hopping on stilts because Carl has seen me dance, you've seen me dance, you know I'm a good mover.
Yeah.
Just in the same way that people can't quite understand how Peter Crouch, the same height as me,
yeah,
is able to be so brilliant on the football field.
Yeah.
The same, people look at me when I'm dancing, they go, I don't know how that big guy is able to bust some of those kind of moves.
Yeah,
I've won 2 dance contests in my life. Those facts, those stats speak for themselves, Rick.
I know.
I mean, you've seen me dancing, how would you describe me?
I think that you look like isn't an albatross, isn't it? So, you look like, an upright lizard, right, being given electroshock treatment. And I think that's a lot fairer, isn't it, than the albatross nonsense?
Well, so I'm just trying to picture that, because again, was that a compliment? You were on my side, right? You were defending me.
A cross between a giant lizard and a stick insect.
Again, because they don't sound, straight away they don't sound like compliments, but I'm assuming you're on my side here.
Stick insect with funny glasses? Is that?
Again, I was thinking you were perhaps being a touch more supportive, but you've not really... Carl, you've seen me dance, what are your views?
It's just like a bit of weird art.
That's brilliant! That is brilliant! That's so much better than albatross!
I wouldn't have said an albatross. I was looking at one of them the other day, and I don't understand what they mean by that, because they're dying out. They say, you know, they dive in the sea.
Oh, it's gone. Yeah. Something happened in the brain. It went from the point we were making, via an albatross, then it just shot off. It just ping like a pinball.
Well, let's hear, because it's going to be another good point.
No, it's just saying how, because I've never seen one, and they were saying, how would you feel if you never saw one again? And I was like, you know, I've got by this long without it. It's not bothered me. But it was just sort of saying, what they do is they dive in the sea, sort of put their head under the water, see if there's any fish knocking about, grab one, get out again, right?
Yeah.
Go to land. I don't know if they're designed to do that.
Well, obviously they are.
No, because seagulls are, because you see them floating about. Now, what's happening is, they're doing that, but getting caught in nets.
Well, that's it. The net shouldn't be there. That's the point. They're totally adapted to their environment, but we came along, millions and millions of years afterwards, and stitched them up. It's not like people are going, well, the nets were always there. How did they evolve without getting caught in the net? We invented the net. We've only been knocking around for a few 100,000 years.
But what I'm saying is, it's that thing about animals learn by mistakes by other animals. You know, like the monkeys peeling potatoes.
Right. That's never happened. They go and put nuts in the salt water to salt the nut.
Whatever.
How does that get to peeling potatoes? Because in your head, they were working in a canteen.
Making chips.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
It doesn't matter what the food is, I'm just saying how they know how to sort of prepare
I love
food.
the fact that you don't care what the fact is. When you're discussing facts, that's all that matters. Otherwise, on Mastermind, they just go, who wrote Much Ado About Nothing? Dickens? Yeah, close enough, whatever, someone did. The fact is what matters.
Yeah, but with that question, that's got a straightforward answer. What I'm telling you is the way that animals work. If it's a potato or a nut, it's a foodage.
And once again, I return you to my question as before. What's your point? What point were you making?
I'm just saying an albatross will find... if you're hungry, you find food or you change your diet. If you don't eat something else, you die out. Simple. Said before, if you want a pie, but they haven't got any pies, you have a pasty. Alter your diet. And an albatross...
Drastically.
Yeah,
pies
radical.
Yeah, you said. Completely changing my diet. No more pies. What are you eating? Pasty. Brilliant. I'm not going to eat quiche anymore. I'm going to have a tartlet.
But you're getting more and more sort of single-minded in your...
No, single-celled.
Yeah.
It's not, though.
In your belief that everything you say has got some kind of profound implication and that no one else is listening, that we're all ignorant, we're all not listening to what you're saying.
Here's another one.
Go on.
Something else I discussed.
Oh, come on. This will be good.
In series
This will be as good as E equals MC squared.
The people aging backwards idea.
Well, it's not an idea.
They've done something on it, saying how
No, they haven't.
a baby has been messing about with emails. Right?
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
God!
a 65-year-old doesn't know how to use email. So, again, my system works. So say if you're an old person, you're not using the internet, but you shouldn't be anyway, because you should be sort of just getting used to life as an old person. When you're a baby and you're about to die, they're using the internet.
I don't know what you mean, when you're a baby and you're about to die.
This is if
This
this
is the
was
aging
your world,
backwards
if it
idea,
was
yeah.
your world. Well, let me just ask a couple of
Sorry,
questions.
that makes no sense at all. What you just that makes no sense
I'm just saying
at all.
that my theory...
You may as well have hit a wok
what I'm
to
saying-
express that point, because they're...
The pong,
Yeah.
that would have made more sense.
this is
Anything
why-
more profound,
This is why
more resonant.
This is why Wendy's having a go, though, because you're not being open-minded. You're not thinking about...
But we're being open-minded to good ideas, to sensible thought, to intellectual considerations. We're not being open-minded to this utter drivel.
Yeah, but every invention is a bit... Who'd have thought the Frisbee would have caught on?
That's not... I don't think that can count as an invention,
Of
though.
course it is. People are paying for it. Someone said, I'm going to invent something
But
you can
people
chuck
are paying
around.
for carrots. But they're not an invention. Because you pay for something, it doesn't mean it's an invention.
No, but a man-made thing. A Frisbee, it didn't grow off a tree, did it? Someone's made that and gone, I can sell this. And people are buying it. You know, all I'm saying is, things change, don't they? You know, the albatross is dying out. The way, like when I walked into the flat, right, we've had hot weather, haven't we? We've had a lot of flies knocking about. Now, when I was younger, I never saw flies sort of hanging about in gangs. Whereas...
I don't know what world this is. Would they have little motorbikes?
No, you know, just you'd sort of see one would get in the house, you know, my dad would kill it or whatever, but you'd never see three. You wouldn't be going, oh, which one am I going to get first and everything. They'd come in, they'd exit out of a window or whatever. Whereas I walked in on a bit of activity.
There's nothing to eat here.
Right? 3 flies in the flat, right? All sort of whizzing around,
Right.
all together, right? So I just sort of think, oh, you know, let them be. They seem to be happy. You know, they're playing around with each other, right? Sat down, reading the paper, look up, right? It was like one was trying to like have it away with one of the flies, and the other one was having a go as well. It turned out it was a little fly that didn't want any of the action, but 2 were attacking it.
How could you possibly gauge that?
Just by watching. That's how you learn, isn't it? You watch. You watch.
But no, this is conjecture again. You had no idea what was going on there.
No, I did. It's the way they were sort of jumping on it and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm not happy with this going on, and you know, under my roof sort of thing.
My house, my rules.
But it's a nightmare because it's small. You can't control it. You don't know which one's which. You might end up sort of pushing out one. That's the baddie.
What are
and
you
you're pushing
talking
out.
about?
I'm just saying.
Why
now,
are you getting involved?
just because creatures are changing all the time.
What are you talking about? What point are you making?
I'm just saying the way that flies used to be happy-go-lucky on their own. The sun's out, have a fly about.
Whereas nowadays...
Now,
God!
there was like little attacks going on.
Oh God! Oh God!
But how could you tell which were the 2 aggressors and which was the victim? How
Well,
could you distinguish?
This was the problem. I mean, all I was looking at was which one they kept attacking, and I was thinking if I can get that one in the bedroom and then get the other 2
Sorry?
out the window,
What are you?
just breaking it up. Because what sort of a person would I be to let that go on?
I don't know what he's talking about. He has no feelings for anything. He doesn't care if whole species die out. Why are you
That's
getting
where
involved?
You're wrong. That's where you're wrong, because I think more than most people. I think there's a lot of people who just go through the motions.
Yeah.
They do the same thing every day. They can do a job, but that's all they stick to. They don't think about what are them flies doing.
Carl,
what's that
I've
lady
known
doing?
you for, I don't know, 4 years, and all you ever say is things like, why do we have jellyfish?
No, I haven't mentioned the jellyfish today.
But it's the same old shit. You look at someone, you make up your own story, and then your conclusion annoys you, even though it's totally fatuous.
Like I say, the man with the frisbee, what happens if he had a mate who said, it's rubbish that, he wouldn't have done it?
I love the fact that you think the frisbee is the pinnacle of invention.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
No, it's an example of something that, you know, if he was on some programme where you said, I've invented this, he'd go, get out. They wouldn't give him time of day to say, right, I've made this thing, it's out of plastic, you throw it about. What for? Well, you just chuck it about on the beach. What's the point? It's a bit of fun, innit? No, I don't like it.
That was an argument with himself.
No, but do you know what I mean? It's a popular little thing, and I'm just saying it's easy to put ideas down.
But you've never even come up with an idea as good as the frisbee, and that's saying something.
I came up with a clippable mat that goes on a cup, and it's a good little thing. I haven't followed it through yet.
A what?
A clippable mat.
What's a clippable mat? What does that
Clippable
involve?
mat that you stick on a cup, so you can put your cup down on a table without having to go, oh, where's that mat? It's clipped to the cup all the time. And you put the cup down wherever you want because it's got a mat on it.
I think I've seen that.
But why does it have to be clipped to
No, I
it?
think
Why
I
couldn't it
have.
just be built into the cup?
Because,
So it clips onto, you got our special cups, it doesn't
Yeah.
clip onto every cup.
no, but just the same way that every sauce is different. You don't say, oh, I'm sick of this sauce, it doesn't fit a mug. You use the sauce of that. I mean, I don't use sauces. Just don't buy that sort
But
of
isn't a
furniture.
saucer what you're talking about?
Kind of, yeah, but it's clippable.
But why is the clippability so important to you?
So you don't have to keep finding the mat when you put the cup down. It's constantly clipped to the
But
cup.
why does it have to be clippable? Because that suggests it's removable. Why not just have something where it's constantly attached? What's to stop you from losing that in much the same way as you lose the coasters? which
Do
have
we
caused
need
problem?
this? Do we need a
What?
clippable coaster?
But let's ask him like it's the Dragon's Den. Let's ask
Okay,
him
yeah.
now.
What?
We've got money to invest
Yeah.
on your clippable
Right.
cup. Now
What's your
pitch
problem?
this idea to us. How would you sell this
Well,
idea
you
to us?
just said, what was your question then?
Brilliant. So you're not listening. Let's start
No,
again.
I am.
Okay,
I
no,
just-
imagine you walked in. You
What
just
is it
walked
for?
in.
What is it for? Is it a coaster to stop the heat from the cup burning the varnish?
Rick, let him explain it.
or
Let's-
is it a saucer to stop
Well, look
spills?
at it.
Let's have you pitch this idea to us. Just you've never met us before. You were investors. Tell us, explain this to us. Sell it to us.
Right. We're living in a world where furniture is important to people. They spend a lot of money on it, don't they, furniture? There's so many
absolutely.
furniture shops out there.
Yeah.
All different types of wood from all over the world.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? If something's come from the Amazon, you don't want a coffee stain on it.
No, you don't know.
Right. But we're living in a world as well where people don't use saucers.
What do you mean
when
they
you go
don't?
out, when you go out and buy, because people.
What do you mean we live in a world where they don't use saucers? Yeah, there's loads of saucers, yeah.
Because I know people who buy cups singly.
Right.
Because there's only 2 people living in a flat, so you don't buy a big box, because in a big box of like plates and that, you get things like, what's the plate that's above a saucer but below a plate?
The plate that's above a saucer, but below a plate. So it's a plate, but it's below a plate.
But it's a size that you sort of go, what am I doing with this?
So, what would it be? A side plate?
Maybe,
A
but
plate that you'd have alongside your regular dinner plate, right?
You put a
Maybe.
bread roll on or something in a restaurant,
Maybe,
yeah,
but-
okay.
but you
What's
don't
your
need
point? What do you
No,
mean? There's a-
this is fascinating to me. Because this is his best attempt now to
Okay.
try and attract investment.
do you know where your mats are at home?
I haven't got mats, don't use them.
Why not?
Because it doesn't bother me. I haven't got any highly polished furniture from the Amazon.
Right, Steve, have you got any sort of...
I've got some coasters and I use the coasters.
And do you know where they are when you need one?
Well, yes, because they're always at the place where I would normally put down a mug of hot tea, i.e.
Yeah.
on a table or a coffee table.
Right, now, do you
I keep
find...
if I had a highly polished table from the Amazon, I'd keep my coasters on it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying now is, what happens if you get up with your cup of tea, you're a busy man, right? This is
Yeah.
what I'm saying, we're living in a world where people are busier than
Yeah,
ever.
go on,
Not everybody can sit down and enjoy a cup of tea sat in the same place.
right?
You get up and you might move into another room.
We haven't got a polished table in there from the Amazon, so it doesn't
No,
matter.
but you might be working on another expensive table
Oh, fine, we'll have a coaster there
that
as
has
well
a
then.
computer on.
My question is this. One, does it fit all mugs? Or do I have to buy a special mug to have this special
Well,
bit
we
attached?
can work it whatever way you want. We can either look at the standard size mug and say, let's appeal to everyone, or we can get in touch with some mug company,
How is it clipped?
just like little plastic clips that clip onto it,
Yeah.
and then you clip it off and you clean it. They're dishwasher proof, by the way.
They don't need that
But
at all.
why can't you just make a mug that has something built in the base of the mug to prevent it from making the mark?
No, don't
It's
need
only
that.
the heat that makes the mark, isn't it, really?
I just want to say now, that's a pointless idea, and I'm out.
Right, but what about the idea that you've just suggested then, with the mug, with the saucer built in?
Yeah.
What about, will we do that together?
But that's not your idea, that's my idea.
Yeah, but without my idea, you wouldn't have had that.
But that's absurd. We're having a conversation, I've come up with an idea, now I've got the money.
do you
I've
want-
got the money,
do you want
and I'm
em-
going to go off with that idea.
Yeah, you haven't painted it anyway, and it's a rubbish idea, and you couldn't.
It's not
paint.
rubbish, because I've just thought as well, that'll be good for putting biscuits on the side as well.
Oh God!
Okay, no,
And
let's
that
not.
means we can get rid of that plate that I don't know
By
what
the
to do
way,
with.
now this is broadcast, you can never patent this idea because it's out in public domain.
Rick, why don't we see if there's anyone out there who's willing to invest in this idea? Are you a mug manufacturer? Are you a mug designer? Are you someone who's got any interest whatsoever in this idea? Do you think it's a saleable idea? And more importantly, would it be not great to have a picture of Carl's face on the mat?
Because it's perfectly round.
Perfectly round.
As well, and you'd scold him every time
Yeah.
you,
So there'd be a certain satisfaction in that.
Yeah, well, if Peter Jones is listening, or that Ballantyne fella, or, what's his name?
Any of the big investors on that show, or indeed
yeah.
any investors anywhere, podcast@rickygervais.com. Get in touch. Tell us how we can move forward with this brilliant new idea.
Pathetic.
Oh, Chip Martin, he's gone and written down the little...
The jingle that signifies another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. Got up and put the radio on. I listened to the story that the vicar read on Radio 2.
Yeah, that could be good.
He was saying how Jesus was 33 when he died. He said he was more into the idea of doing a lot in your life than living for ages. This was linked to the news about the doctor who's come up with some stuff that he's been injecting himself and his wife with that makes you age better. I looked it up on the internet. It wasn't worth them doing it because they are already old looking. I don't know why people want to stay looking young. You can wear a bald head better if you're old because hairs are replaced by wrinkles.
That's drivel.
No, it's not drivel, it's just...
Pointless. A pointless entry to a diary, that.
It's not, because that could be like an important bit in, like, world history.
What?
The fact that someone's trying to make people not age. Age is good, isn't it? When you see an old
That's been
person...
going forever.
Was?
People trying to age better.
No, but he's talking about if you're 90, he wants people to look like they're 30. And that's not good, because how would the world run when that's going on?
Well, I agree. But
You know, when
again,
people-
it's not a revelation.
If I like chatting to old people, because they know a lot of stuff. So if I'm sat on a train and someone's old, I'm happier talking to them about...
They get up and move after about 10 minutes.
Well, he
No,
likes
but
the fact
they-
that many of them are infirm and can't.
Yeah, they have to stay there and listen to this one.
But yeah, even that means that they're getting more out of life in a way, because they don't move about as much, so they have more thinking time. It is weird how that happens to you as you get closer to death.
Jesus.
You know, you're not working as much because you're resting, and you can think back about your life, and you can think, oh, I had a good one. Actually, it's not been that bad. Whereas if...
But you must have started that now, because you've been doing nothing for the past 3 months.
Yeah, but I'm just, well, that's, like I'm saying, it is a good thing for you to do, to sort of think about what you've been doing with your days and your weeks.
And how
stuff.
do you assess your life so far? With all this spare time you've had on your hands and moping around and moaning about your illness and just sitting round, right? You've been introspecting, have you?
Yeah.
Go on then. What have you come up with?
I haven't come up with anything. I'm just, I'm just, you know, I have an all right life, and things are changing.
Oh, keep saying that.
No, but you don't know how much they are changing, to the point of, I don't know if I mentioned the squirrel eating Mars bars, but from that, from that happening to monkeys opening bottles with lids on them, to, it's mental out there. It's madness what is going on. And all I'm saying is old people need to be old people. You need oldness. You need to see old people. You need to go, right, they might have a solution. They've been on the earth longer. Quick, we need an answer. How old are you? I'm 32. Well, you look 78.
I don't know what you're conversation was with, why you got angry, and I think you made the opposite point that you were making at the beginning. If you say you're 32, you look 78. No, you were saying about it'd be a problem if you were 78 and looked 32. I don't know what you're saying. You came down on the wrong side then. You did that whole thing and you bollocksed it up again in your brain.
I'm just saying, either way, you need to have people who look old. Otherwise, who's in charge?
I don't know what you mean.
Right.
So you say you're saying it'd be alright to make 78-year-olds look 32 as long as there were some 32-year-olds that look 78, as long as you've got old-looking people.
No, but say
Can I tear this page out? Because it's worthless.
What I mean is, when I went to the doctors,
Oh.
I saw the specialist, right, about the kidney stones. I was asking him all the straight questions.
Go on.
Is it life-threatening?
No.
How long am I going to be out?
Couple
All the
of
rest
days.
of it, right? Now,
As it turned out, it is life-threatening, and you've been out for 3 months whinging about the fucking thing. Strange.
Now, he was quite old. He looked about 55, and that reassured me in a way. In a way, it didn't, because he's one of them doctors who didn't open his eyes much, and I kind of thought, I hope you
I
open
don't know
them
what you're talking
wider.
about. What do you mean?
What?
What do you mean he didn't open his eyes much?
One of those sort of doctors who's either that overworked, that he does that, you know, when he's tired, so he's going, right, what we're going to do is, and he's doing that with his eyes shut, he's talking like that.
This is radio.
I know, but I'm telling you, so you can see.
But people are meant to be listening to this.
But if they can't imagine me with my eyes shut,
Well, tell him you got your eyes shut. Just say he had his eyes shut.
yeah, he had his eyes shut.
Had he been reading this? Bored stupid, I imagine. He's just trying to get a...
But do you know what I mean? Or I don't know if it's because he's tired or if he's that educated that some people know so much you don't even have to look at it.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Intelligent people.
Who is so educated that they don't need to open their eyes.
You see it, you see like...
What is that? So, who's that bloke up there? Is he blind? No, he's been reading too much. He doesn't open his eyes anymore, doesn't he? No.
Old people who you see wearing tweed and what have you, and they're really posh and they talk, and whenever they talk their eyes are shut and they
I
open...
don't know what this observation is.
I don't understand why you've never seen that.
I've never seen an old, educated man wearing tweed who doesn't bother open his fucking eyes.
Steve,
I
have
don't
you?
know what you're talking about.
Steve, have you seen... Do you know what I mean? When people don't sort of open their eyes when they're talking to you, and it can be quite annoying, because it's like they're saying, I'm not interested about you sat there, I'm not bothered if you're listening, I'm saying what I'm saying because I say what I say. And it can be quite annoying.
If he has got his eyes closed, he's probably just trying to absorb what you're saying and think carefully about
probably.
it, so he doesn't misdiagnose you.
I'm not having a go at him.
Well, it sounds
I'm
like
just
you are.
saying he was 50 odd, and I was happy that he was there telling me...
I don't know why you were watching his eyes when he was telling you about your insides.
Because you can tell a lot by people's eyes. That's what I said about jellyfish. But, you know, just lines in a face tell a few stories, and I don't think we should get rid of them lines.
Brilliant.
Wise words.
Well, that's the end of show number 4 in this 3rd series of the Ricky Gervais Show. So it's goodbye from me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant,
Goodbye.
and of course, Karl Pilkington.
Right?
Well, here we are, number 5 in a series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant,
Hello there.
and Karl Pilkington.
Alright.
Well, Karl, you are officially a published author. Your book came out, The World of Karl Pilkington, and a copy will go in the British Library.
Will it?
Well, they
Yeah.
have to take every rubbish. I think it'll go in the British Library lavatory. From what I
Yeah,
understand,
yeah.
it'll be in there with like a collection of like novelty postcards and maybe
exactly.
a Viz compendium. Well, you know.
Yeah, so they take everything. Just think of that.
But is that a rule they set up when books were more important to people? And now it's kind of like, oh, I wish we never said we'd do that.
Well, they have to add 2 miles of shelves every year, apparently.
That's what I mean. Now, surely, you know, they change a lot of other rules, don't they? They used to allow people having their head cut off. And now they've gone, we shouldn't do that anymore, so we'll sort that. Why don't they just say, only so many books a year make it in there? Ones that are important to the future.
But who knows what's important to the future?
Well, you know, normally, when I say something that I think's a good point...
Yeah, but you're always wrong.
No, but what I mean is when I say something that I think I have got a point there...
Yeah, but you're always wrong.
But why do they do this? Why do they think they've got to keep everything? Because we're living in a world now where everything is sort of binnable. And, you know, we use stuff
Binnable.
for what it is.
Well,
I think you could say that.
Oh,
It's
that's
binnable,
fine, that's
yeah.
fine.
There was a sort of poetry to it, but I think he stumbled across that. I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't got over last week him saying foodage.
Do you know what I mean, though? That the world's changed, so why is that rule still hanging around when...
Well, it's not a rule. I mean, it's not a rule that, you know, the country's going to, you know, live and die by. It's just that it is seen as a repository for knowledge, for information, and I don't believe any old Joe can wander in there and get one of these books. I think you have to either be a scholar, I think maybe it's open for a brief window for students, but you know, you can just wander in there and see your own book, Carl. You know,
there are some books that they have to turn the page for you in gloves, so the amino acids...
I'd hate that.
With yours, it won't matter. They just go, it's over there, or they throw it to you.
No, it's just...
Or they slide it along the floor.
Well, they say, oh, I can't give it to you, Carl, because it's propping up this desk.
Yeah, they kick it to you and say, put it in the bog when you're finished with it.
It's just that thing of being timed, though. I hate it when people go, oh, have you read this? And then I can't read it properly because they're thinking I'm taking ages here. Do you know what I mean? So I have to scan read it. And they go, oh, it's good, that. And they go, what do you think? And I go, oh, about what? So I hate the fact that someone stood there with gloves on, because that isn't normal, relaxing sort of reading, is it?
But it's not, you don't go in to read the Doomsday Book, let's say, in order to just have a relaxing read. You're going in there to study
There are
it, you know, historically.
say they're professors and scholars and scientists and historians. They don't wander in because it's raining and they go, what's a good read?
There's not a man wearing white gloves turning the pages of the latest Jackie Collins.
Exactly. Do you have heat?
Watching your lips move as you read to see if you can turn the next page.
I suppose I shouldn't really feel guilty, because at the end of the day, right, I mean, people always rave about Shakespeare, saying, oh, you know, his work was good. But
Brilliant.
at the same time...
He'll probably put that on the book when he brings another one out. He'll put your review on it. Yeah. Oh, that was good. Karl Pilkington.
But at the same time, you know, like, some people will have a go. I'm ready for people having a go, like that Wendy did about me little films are made. There's always people...
Wendy Robinson?
Yeah, you know...
It's her opinion.
For those of you who didn't hear last week, she slammed Carl.
No, well, you know, each to their own and that, and, you know, if everyone liked the same thing, I don't know what we'd do, right?
Sure.
You don't know anything.
So all I'm saying is, everybody raves about Shakespeare, when, if you properly looked at what he did, he invented a lot of swearing words, right? Effing and jeffing and that. Now, if...
That was one of his.
Well, it's effing and jeffing and effing and jeffing part 2. Did he make up a great deal of swear words? I don't know that I'm aware of this.
A lot of them are Shakespeare invented. But all I'm saying is, for some reason, when things are brought out years ago, people say they're good even though they're not, is what I mean.
But let's not mistake the fact that Shakespeare is not, he's not, people seem to confuse him as though they think he wrote these things in order to be read. He wrote them to be performed. They're plays. They're not books in the traditional sense. He didn't bring out the latest book.
No, but just when something's old, it gets a bit more respect, is what I mean. When I was watching that documentary about the real Indiana Jones,
Brilliant.
They dug out some rocks with drawings on, and they were like, "Oh, don't damage them, don't mark the paint," and it's like, it's rubbish. It was like a stick fella with a yak. And now, if that was found now, or if a kid showed me that, I'd go, hey, it's not that good. So what I mean is, because stuff's old stuff gets respect.
But you're not judging it on its aesthetic merits, you're judging it on its historical importance.
I don't think that's fair, though, because when that fella drew that, it wasn't old. He did it when he was knocking about.
No, yes, but you must see the difference between you doing a stick man on a wall with a bit of chalk near your local, and a cave painting that they date to 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, so in 10,000 years' time, when they find my story about the monkey fireman, will it gain more respect then than it is now?
No, less.
But why is it?
Because people will more and more realise what a buffoon you are. The more research we do, the more these podcasts we do, the more you expose yourself as an empty, egg-headed moron.
That's a friend speaking right there, Ricky Gervais.
No,
he loves you like a brother.
I just think, you've mentioned him before, Steve, this Peeps fella.
Yes.
Has he done anything else apart from a diary? Because now I've done a book and a diary.
That means you're better than Pepys,
well,
is what you're thinking,
well,
isn't it?
I'm not going to say that until I know, but what else did he do?
Well, Pepys wasn't a writer predominantly. I believe he was, you know, like a bureaucrat or something. But he kept a diary which has since become a historical landmark.
And what did he say in it?
What did he say in it? Well, it's again more because it's both well written and it's also an amazing insight
a social document
a social
as well.
Document, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a social document
I
of
mean,
that
yours is
period.
a social document, but it sort of revolves around having egg and chips and a calf and seeing a ladybird, which, you know...
But that's today's living. That's
Well,
what I'm saying.
but his describes the Great Fire of London, which is what it's most... it's
But
best
we haven't
remembered
had
for.
one of them. If we had one, I'd write it down. I'm only writing what's happening. The ladybird happened, right? I wrote it down. He was just lucky. He was about in London when that happened.
So you're a little angered that you've not witnessed one of the great disasters.
Because the thing is, if they read your diary, they'd think, well, nothing happened that year. Nothing important in the world happened that year.
Because your diary doesn't just mention... I mean, okay, yes, it does. It fails to mention any disasters in London because we haven't had any, but it doesn't mention any. It doesn't mention any world events. It doesn't mention wars in Iraq, terrorism. It doesn't mention anything.
But that's all being wrote about anyway. If you're saying there's a museum that's keeping everything, there's loads of other books for that. Who's looking at the fella whose skulls fell off?
What?
We see. It's interesting, isn't it?
What do you mean the fellow whose skulls fell off?
Well, that's what happened the other week, so I wrote about it.
What?
A fella's skull has fell off.
What do you mean his skull has fell off?
It's something to do with circulation.
But what do you mean his skull fell
Well,
off?
it's in the diary. We
But
might
how
look
can
at
a
the diary.
skull fall off? Because it's surrounded by tissue and it's got a brain. How can just his skull? How can it detach itself from all the stuff surrounding
He
it?
mislaid all his dreams.
But all I'm saying is that's not getting a look in.
No, because it's not significant or probably true.
Good point, Steve.
I don't.
All right.
know
Well,
what's
let me
anything
just.
based on.
I'll just consult the diary quickly and find the moment with the man whose skull fell off. Oh, here we are. Yeah. Looks like the world's fattest man is having an operation to get rid of some of the fat. He has to have an iron bed because that's the only thing that can hold his weight. There's also a man whose skull has fell out. He's in hospital somewhere. I hate that. It would make me panic. The hospital is busy with people coming in to look at their head.
What are you talking about there? That tells us nothing. Right, it's impossible for a skull to fall out.
How are scholars in 10,000 years going to be... What are they going to decipher from that?
They can sort of.
There's not enough incident detail.
But how did his skull fall out?
Circulation problems.
But answer the question. How did his skull fall out? Fall out of what?
He was at home, and I don't know if he was combing his hair or something, but it come off.
What did?
His skull.
What do you mean, his skull? Do you know what the skull is?
It's a part of the head.
Well, no, it's the structure of the head. It's the bone. Do you mean the top of the skull?
This is only useful if you have all the salient facts. Then it would be of interest to us. We could.
Well, I couldn't take that on. I'm busy. I'm not going to start looking into stuff in depth. Just get the details.
God. You're such an idiot. You are the best, idiot in the world.
Well, I don't want to be premature, but that entry is followed by, I injured my toe the other day by dropping the toaster. Instead of letting it hit the floor, I tried to catch it with my foot. I didn't think I'd done any harm, but my nail looks like it could fall off. I might show it to the doctor when I get me kidney stones out. We could easily get by without nails on the feet. They are more trouble than there were.
You're so wrong. You're so wrong.
I think on the days when cavemen without shoes and animals need nails, I don't think we need them now. I honestly, because you hear about ingrowing toenails, right? So that's a problem. You've got to cut them. Stuff gets under there and gets infected. Get rid of them. You won't have any of that, as long as you wear shoes.
No, you'd have unprotected toes and fingers, wouldn't you?
I didn't say on the fingers, just on the toes.
So why do you need them on the fingers and not the toes?
Because you use your hands to do stuff. I've said about toenail out. It'd be good to have it growing on the head.
What?
Just having like a sheet of it, just like a nail on the forehead. You wouldn't look weird because we'd all have it. I'm not saying.
What are you talking about now?
I'm just saying I don't want to go on about evolution stuff because we've done it all.
What do you think the skull is for?
No, but I mean on the outside, so that when you bang your head, it's a little bit more protection. Like people. I mean, you're looking at me like that. Why'd you wear a helmet on a bike then?
Because the bike wasn't meant to be invented. We weren't meant to whiz along at 70 miles an hour with evolution.
I know, but because life's changing, like you've said.
But you can't go, let's evolve, let's re-evolve.
Okay, let's assume we've got this nail on our head that's growing out of our forehead.
So we look like one big thumb.
Yeah. Which weirdly, Carl I mean, you can almost imagine it looking at Carl now. You can imagine a big nail there. Does the nail continue to grow? Do we have to trim the head nail?
Yeah, in the same way you get a haircut.
Why is that preferable in your mind to just wearing a crash helmet in instances where you might have something hit your head?
Just because, for a start, helmets, you have to carry them around with you. That's one thing that's put me off having a motorbike. Whenever you see someone on a motorbike, it's all like the clothes they've got to wear. And it's like a big upheaval, isn't it? It's you know, if you have a car, you can get in with your shorts on, your flip-flops on. A motorbike, it's like you're an astronaut or something, and you're only nipping down the road for some milk. Do you know what I mean? So, what I'm saying is get rid
But does it annoy you having to put shoes on every day, and underpants, and a vest, and I don't know.
No, but once they're on, I'm not carrying them. They're on me. If I had to then take the shorts off for whatever reason and walk around holding them, I'd go, I can't be bothered. I don't like holding a bag. I don't like bags. We carry too much around with us now. I don't like carrying stuff. It's just a hassle, isn't it?
It's just endless things he doesn't want to do, doesn't like doing, isn't like carrying bags. Who the hell has a gripe about carrying bags? Why is that a concern?
Because it's stuff that's on you.
I love the way that he wouldn't mind having a nail growing out of his fucking head, but he doesn't want to carry a bag.
What's good with it is, everybody's got one of these.
But it's not going to happen, Carl.
And the most important thing in your body, apart from the heart, is your brain. So protect that, not the toes. The toes we can get by without the toes.
People.
But your head's important, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff in your head. And I know all this just after seeing the Bodyworks thing. I went to see it's a show on where there's a load of like dead bodies and that. And you can see how much stuff's in the body. And there's loads of stuff. There's nothing in there that you don't need. It's all doing stuff. Everything in your body.
We've been telling you that for years.
But you reckon you don't need the toenails?
Yeah, that's on the outside. I'm saying everything that's on the inside of your body, right?
You don't need the appendix.
No, but doesn't that depend on what lifestyle you have?
Well, it's a hangover of when we probably ate a lot more cellulose, and it's.
Yeah, well, they might come back. Things are always coming back, aren't they? So if people start eating them again.
What about male nipples?
Sort of looks alright though, doesn't it? Because the chest is quite plain, so with nothing on it, you'd go, oh, what's this? It just balances it out. I think it looks alright. I think it works. So leave it. But what were we talking about?
But wouldn't you rather have maybe a little like a rib cage around the testicles? Because you get a whack in them and it. Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Not an invention, Carl. It's not an invention, and we can't do it. But
will you be able to sit down still? Because that's the good thing with them at the moment, is movement. So it sort of works. But don't they say, they said something about testicles at the Bodyworks thing.
Well, they're on the outside.
Put yours away, Carl. You're not one of the exhibits.
They're on the outside because they have to be a few degrees below body temperature for the Sertoli cells to
So that's an odd design. That they had to go there, because it's a bit of an odd place to have them.
Where would you suggest? Dangling from the throat?
Sort of.
I want to redesign you, right? You can possibly do this now. This is something you can actually do, probably. You could probably have your testicles anywhere. So where would you want them?
You've got a giant forehead nail.
Yeah. You could have that. It probably wouldn't grow, but we could certainly have that.
I just mean like, because if all it's about is temperature, you don't want to get them too hot.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting hot down there because you're wearing pants and what have you. So have them nearer to the outside of the body.
Well, they are near the outside of the body.
No, but we wear pants over them.
So you wear pants over them because they're testicles, and polite society suggests that you don't show your testicles.
Yeah, but that's the odd thing, isn't it? That's what's happened somehow, that we've said testicles shouldn't be seen.
Well, then just cut a hole in your trousers. If it's only about, keeping them cool, and because they're too hot, why don't you just hang them out your shorts? Because
there's too many sort of seats that are shared these days, isn't there? But what I'm saying is...
Well, what are you saying?
Where would you put them?
Somewhere like, sort of under the ears. So it sort of just looks like lobes.
So you would redesign your body to have a pair of testicles hanging from your ears?
And when people are sometimes talking, they do sort of mess with their ears, and they're always saying check for lumps. More handy.
Does the penis remain where it is at the moment?
Leave that where it is. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, Rick, but I would love to see, perhaps on the web, you know, it's very easy to put stuff on web pages now, some kind of illustration, could be computer generated, could be drawn by hand, of the new model Carl. Bear in mind, people, that he's got some testicles underneath his ears.
And a big thumbnail on his forehead.
Big thumbnail on his forehead.
Talking to Carl, I want to see Carl's head everywhere. It's the roundness that I like, okay? So, do a viral campaign. Anyone out there with a picture of Carl, just get it everywhere. Because I want, eventually, everyone to, as they walk past him in the street, to shout, "You shaved monkey," or "Look at that bald head," or "Look at fucking coconut face coming this way. You got a head like a fucking orange."
Went out the other night with the lads. You know, there's a few of us, you know, young, free and single.
Must look like the Swingers.
Oh, it was pretty, it looked like a boy band had gone out. It looked like,
Really?
It looked like, you know, NSYNC had hit the streets.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. We'd dressed up, togged up, out for a few drinks. A friend of mine said, let's go to a club. Right, I haven't been to a nightclub for a long time, actually. I haven't been.
Is that because your glasses steam up when you walk in out of the cold?
That is a problem in the winter. I genuinely, it's very difficult to make a good impression when as you walk in, your glasses steam up straight away, and, you know, you got to take them off and clean them and stuff, and then, you know, you get a bit dirty.
On your white fronts, you pull your white fronts up through the jeans, clean them on that.
Or the back of a girl's dress. But, we cruised down to the club. It's one of those big sort of super clubs, London super clubs. Never been in one of those, the Ministry or any of those things, so it was all new. And it's a bit of a queue. I think it's a bit of a chore. But we're queuing up, we're in good spirits, we're looking at it, it sounds pretty funky, we can hear the music coming out. You know, been in the queue for quite a while, 20, 25 minutes.
Forget it, 25 minutes.
Well, yeah, we were pretty excited by this point. The doorman says, hello lads. He said, yeah, we're coming please. He went, no you're not.
Really?
What? He said, you're not coming in. And he just immediately lifted the little rope and sent us away from the queue, right? And we were slightly perplexed, we were dumbfounded, we didn't know what to do, it was like, this couldn't be happening, it didn't make sense, so we just queued up what was going on. And so, my friend said, well, we've got to find out why he's not going to let us in. So he goes back over.
I thought you wanted to do. You wanted to tie him up with logic. That'll show a bouncer.
Exactly.
Yeah, show him how educated you are and how you can win an argument and make him look stupid. You'll be in that club in no time.
That's what they appreciate. They love that. Because what they respect is being made to look like a fool.
Yeah, exactly.
So we went over and,
They really look up to intellectuals.
Exactly, yeah. So one of our mates goes over and he says, why didn't you let us in? And he went, because you didn't have any girls with you. Now, I'll tell you this. That's kicking you when you're down. Because when you're out on a Saturday night trying to get into a club to meet women, and the reason you're not allowed to go in a club to meet women is because you haven't got any women with you, that's just salt in the wound. It's so humiliating. So, a friend of mine says that there's a VIP entrance over there. And there was like a woman with a clipboard, you know, the guest list. Separate entrance. She said, you know, you've got a little bit of profile, Steve. Why don't we try and use your little bit of
Rano, got your Golden Globe and your Emmy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I always carry, you know, some of my cuttings with me.
Yeah.
And I felt a bit self-conscious about it. I was thinking, I'm not into this, you know, it's a bit awkward. But he said, look, don't worry, you just stand here. Just stand here, just like you're having a conversation. I'll go over, I'll point him out, I'll go, oh, there's, you know, Steve Merchant over there, the office or whatever.
Oh, God, Steve!
So I thought, well, you know, the thing is, we were out, and I was a bit frustrated, and I thought, you know, we may as well try everything. So I stand there, with my friend goes over, and he has a word, and he comes back, and he says, it's fine. She can't let us in the VIP entrance because she's not allowed, but what she can do is walk us to the front of the queue. Right? You can walk to the front of the queue and explain. So I think, okay, fine.
Oh, God.
So the guy takes me and my mates, right, this girl, she takes us, we walk past everyone else, right, to the front of the queue, right? She goes up to the guy, she says, this is Steve Merchant office. The guy goes, I know who he is, we're not letting him in.
Oh, God! Oh, God!
By now, of course, some people have recognised me, so they're trying to have my photo taken. So there's people inside the line that's being allowed in the club. I've got to lean across the rope to have my photo taken with them, even though I'm not allowed in the club. So they go, oh, alright, this is Steve there, and the photo's taken, right, camera phones and that. They're going into the club where the music, the party's kicking off. I'm outside waiting for the next chump who wants to have his photo taken. I mean, it was mental. So,
that's unbelievable.
I was furious, and then one guy, I remember he was trying, and he goes, oh, yeah, brilliant, I love the podcast and all that stuff, I love, is Carl with you? I said, oh, Carl's not out here. And his girlfriend was with me, she went,
Who's that?
And he went, oh, it's just Steve Merchant, he does the office, he does the thing. And she went, who cares? Who are you, Bruce Forsyth? And it's that thing when suddenly I'm being humiliated and embarrassed by someone's girlfriend. I never asked for that. I never asked for her opinion on me. I'm sorry if I don't impress you, if I'm not sufficiently famous for you, but it's not my fault. It's your boyfriend who brought it up. It was like I'd gone over to her and tried to show off, and she was annoyed. So by now I was just furious.
Oh,
so
God.
I thought, forget this.
Well, I was walking down the street, and there's a group of builders sitting down having a cup of tea. One of them goes, "All right, Rick." I went, "All right, mate." The other one went, "Not as fat as on telly." I went, "Oh, thanks. Not as fat as on telly." So he went with, "Well, you are fat, but you look even fatter on telly." He didn't say, "Oh God, you don't look fat at all," or "Oh, you look big on telly, but you don't look." Just went with, "Not as fat as on telly." And there's nothing I could say but cheers, mate.
Now, when you said cheers, mate, did you say that because you were? Because I'd say cheers, mate, because I'd be a little bit scared of them.
No, I was
I'd be worried about the
slight
repercussions.
sarcasm, and you know, I laughed after. Yeah.
So you can get away with sarcasm with working class blokes.
I'm a little bit more secure with a working class male than you, aren't I?
I'm terrified of them. I feel like they're going to turn on me at any minute.
You don't feel confident sort of backing in a lorry driver?
Terrified.
Oh, right,
Because
okay.
if I did, he'd probably lean out and just go and get your dad, mate.
Yeah, not you.
Fuck off, I'm not interested.
Not you. Yeah.
So the final stab is this guy says, there's a party I know of going on, right? Oh, blinking hell. So we go down to this party. Right, as we're getting there, as we're about to go in, he goes, "Now you know it's a singles party." I thought, "Oh, what?" He says, "You know it's a singles party." Oh, God. So I go in this party, it's right, it's all single people, right? Now, theoretically, that should be brilliant, right, if you're a singleton yourself. It's the worst kind of party to go to, because when you normally go to a party, right, and you're chatting to a girl, and she says, "Oh, I've got to go and get a drink," or whatever, you think, "Oh, she's probably got a boyfriend," or whatever, or she's with mates, that's fair enough. But when you're at a singles party, and a woman says, "I'm just gonna go and get a drink," and then you just see her leaving, you realise it's not because she's got a boyfriend or whatever, it's just because she doesn't want to talk to you.
You can't even kid yourself.
You can't even pretend.
Oh,
and
dear.
you suddenly sense everyone judging everyone else. So you see a girl and she'll like look at you up and down, and then ignore you and walk on. And it's like a massive slap in the face. It's like girls coming up to you and going, "Not interested." Just by being there, they don't have to say anything and they're rejecting you. And so, anyway, one of my friends has been reading this book, The Game, right, by this guy called Neil Strauss, which is sweeping a certain part of the population because it is one of those books written on how to meet women and seduce women, right? And there's this guy called Neil Strauss who infiltrated a sort of secret organisation in America of blokes who've got all these various seducing techniques, right? And one of the techniques which we've been discussing is something called negging, where if you see a very attractive woman, the theory is that she's getting asked out all the time by blokes, right? They're always coming up and saying, "Oh, you're really beautiful, can I buy you a drink?" And that what you have to do to set yourself away from the pack is to sort of not be so obviously complimentary. So you come up and you almost sort of pay her a backhanded compliment, or you almost neg, as they say something slightly negative. So what you might say is you might go up to her and say, "Oh, I like your shoes. I've seen another girl wearing them in the club," right? And the theory is that she's sort of, she's a bit taken aback, she's a bit sort of thrown off, and then of course you start complimenting her, and you start building her back up again. It's very elaborate mind games. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but we've been talking about the neg, and I was chatting to a girl, and I was a little bit drunk, and I wasn't thinking it through, and I thought about the neg because it wasn't going very well, but I don't think you should say to a girl, "I think your ears are a bit too big for your head," because you know what I mean? It's like you can't come back from that. And there's nowhere else to go, because that really is just an insult.
Oh, he's only gone and listened it down the little fucking car.
That jingle, of course, signifying yet another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. As always, packed with rich insight into the man's mind. Had a late night last night because I stayed up to watch a programme about monkeys.
It's already good.
Of course you did.
It's already good.
Now, before I read on, I mean, is this not some kind of monkey news? Is this not a late return to monkey news?
Well, it's not that good.
Is it not? Whereas the other monkey news is...
Oh, chimpanzee, that's some more shit.
This is what he says. This is what he gleaned from the programme about monkeys. It sat on a bridge and wanted stuff off people to walk over the bridge.
What?
So it was acting as some kind of toll booth,
This
was
is
it?
No,
ridiculous.
it was a bridge in like the jungle.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
And it's a monkey that sat on a bridge, and a lot of tourists go through the area.
No, it's a monkey
to look at them.
who realised that if he sits there, he'll get stuff because it look like it's a cute little chimp begging.
No, but every time.
Yeah, because you give a monkey, you give it. I'm as bad as him now. If you give a chimpanzee a banana, and he starts realising that humans have things to give.
Yeah, but it's all
squirrels
sorts of
learn that. But you don't go. You wouldn't say, went to the park. There's squirrels waiting at the gate. You have to give them a toll to go in. They're only going to give them a nuts. They come up to you every time. You fucking idiot.
Went to bed after watching it and fell asleep thinking about it on the bridge right now. It's a bit bad, really, because the monkey should work harder for its food. It made me remember the slug I saw yesterday that was eating bird poo. Nobody would ever help a slug with food like they do with ducks and monkeys. A slug's life is pretty bad. The only time they come out of their den is when it's raining.
Den.
So even their days out are depressing.
It is. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It is like, it's a horrible thing to be in it. A slug.
Love him talking about what is it like to be a slug.
No, just because like the monkey, even though it's being quite aggressive, everyone was like, "Oh, give it some water," and it was well like kitted out. It had like chocolate bars, bottled water, some like fizzy stuff, and all that.
An iPod. It was listening to Monkey News.
It could have had one if it wanted one. It was getting away with murder on that bridge, and that's just because it was furry. Yeah, if that was like a blob, like a slug, there's no way people would be that friendly towards it, and it just annoys me how you get this pecking order for like, no matter what creature you are, favouritism. And that slug was only eating that bird poo because it wasn't being offered stuff.
If it was offered toffees or whatever.
Well, it's just sad, isn't it? It's come to that. That's what its life has come to.
Yeah, but it's not. As mollusk that's down on its fucking luck.
It didn't live in a big country house,
No,
and his
but it
wife
is.
left it. The kids went. It started hitting the
watching
bowl.
it, and I kind of thought, and look, they do only come out in the rain, and it's depressing, and it'll probably get killed in a bit. And that was its last meal. I just
Last meal.
But it wouldn't prefer steak and chips, Carl. It doesn't have.
It must like a leaf or at the end of the day, it's an insect. They love
It's
leaf.
not an insect.
Well, it's part of that gang. It's part of that. No, it's part of
They
that.
hang out together. They hang out together.
Why do you think it's part of that
Because
gang?
it knocks about in the woods in the same place as a spider does. But what I'm saying is they're eating boring stuff because that is what's
It's
in
not
their
boring
area.
stuff to them. They're not. I have no opinion of it at all. They take in sustenance.
No, but where you are is what you eat. When I'm in London, I'll have beans on toast for lunch. On holiday, what? Tapas? Go on, I'll have a bit. So it's whatever you eat, what's in that area.
Suzanne went off to work and I went to the shop to buy some envelopes. The shop was empty, but the fellow behind the counter was on the phone and just kept talking even though he could see I was waiting. I started to count backwards from 20. When I got to 6, he hung up and served me. I won't use the shop again. Question, why count backwards from 20?
So he's thinking, what's going to happen at 1? If I start counting from 1, he's going, well, let him carry on.
What, out loud?
So, not really loud, but like more of a mouth action, so he could see I was doing it. Like
Sorry, you just started miming counting backwards to a man in a shop.
He's on the phone. The
Yes.
shop is empty. I
Yes.
thought he'd like me custom. He could have served me and stay on the phone. Even though I don't like that, at least he's still doing what he needs to do.
I'd have said,
working the
sorry,
shop.
can I just get these, please?
Yeah. Well, I stood there and I thought, it's annoying me now, my kidneys aching, and I started to get a bit of a sweat on. So I thought, right, I'm going to give him 20 seconds, and if he hasn't got off the phone, I'm leaving. And when I got to about 6, he served me. What's wrong with that? Again,
You are
giving
one
yourself,
of the strangest people.
it's just giving yourself a thing. I could have been stood there for
Free.
ages.
He's one of the strangest people who's free to walk
Yeah.
It's
the
about,
streets.
no, I set myself a little target, and I thought, I don't want to waste another 30 seconds in here, I'll give him 20. It worked. He served me at 6.
But it didn't work. Yeah, but did he do it because you were doing that, or did he finish his phone call?
I don't know, I was busy counting.
Looked at what's been going on in the world. There was a human head attached to a seagull's body in a jar.
Is that all it says?
This is the sort of weird stuff that goes on behind surgery doors. I doubt it ever flew because the head would have been too heavy.
Well, of course it wasn't. It didn't happen. It wasn't live.
No, but they try this stuff, don't they? That's like that programme I watched with a
Well,
monkey.
who has ever tried to put a human head on a seagull's body?
They've done loads of stuff like that. It's part of us moving on, isn't it? It's,
What are you talking about?
I'm not going to
Carl?
get into arguing about
Well,
science
you're
because
wrong.
it's all
Don't
behind
talk
closed doors.
shit.
How do you think we can change a heart now from another body? You have to try things out. It's trial and error. all sorts of weird stuff goes on in hospitals, but we let it happen because it's to help us out in the long run, isn't it?
But what are they aiming towards when they're going to find out if you can put a head on a seagull's body? What is that? What are they want to learn, and how do they want to apply that knowledge? A new heart, it is obviously for a reason. It saves a life.
Yeah,
what is this to save money on transport? Instead of getting a bus pass, you go, can I just put my head on the seagull's body? I go, well, it won't work. We'll try it.
Yeah, but there is odd things like that. Like, I saw a fish the other day, right? And honestly, it's the weirdest thing. It was just like a blob with a face. Now, I would never have said, yeah, let that swim about. I'd have killed it from day dot. I would have gone, get rid of that.
Oh, God! Under what circumstances would you have killed that from day dot?
I'm just saying, looking at it, I'd say that does not work. And it looked sad. It looked like it didn't want to be about.
Have you got her number?
Oh, God! Oh, God! Well, that's it for another week. The end of episode 5. One more to go in this series of 6 with the Ricky Gervais Show. We'd love you to buy Carl's book because it is genuinely interesting and funny as a you know, just as a social experiment to see that you know, it proves Carl's theory wrong that a monkey can write a book. So it's bye from me, Ricky Gervais. Goodbye from Steve Merchant.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from the little shaven monkey that is Karl Pilkington. Hello and welcome to the last in this series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant.
Hello.
And Karl Pilkington.
Alright.
Carl, as you're aware, you've obviously got many celebrity fans. David Bowie is a fan, people involved with creating The Simpsons. And you've also got a new fan, Warwick Davis, who is the short actor that many people will see in films like Return of the Jedi. He also is in Harry Potter. He's 3'6", and Ricky and I worked with him recently on extras. And far from asking us about the many celebrity names that we've worked with, the only person he was interested in talking about, of course, Mr. K. Pilkington.
He wanted to meet you, Carl.
Yeah. Well, is he all right to get on with?
Why wouldn't he be?
Just because sometimes when people aren't normal, it's just.
Sorry?
No, I just mean when someone, like, I've met a few little people in my time. The one that I met a little fella once, and he was all right. He got drunk really quick, but he was all right. But it took me by surprise, only because, like I've said about when I met Steve for the first time, it's only that same thing. And then if I lived with the little fella, I'm sure we'd get on a storm.
What do you mean when you met
There's
Steve?
a TV show waiting to happen.
What do you mean when you met Steve for the first time?
No, we've done it, you know, when he walked in, it just a bit of, oh, he's different. But then, I see Steve every week, and, you know, the same way I say I like watching Elephant Man, from the first time I watched it to the last, totally different. When he walks in the first time, it's like, oh God, look at that. It's a mess, isn't it? When I watch it again, it's kind of like, oh, here he is, here's John. So, it doesn't, things wear off. That's like the world, isn't it? Things don't amaze you as much as you see things and you use things often. And it's the same with the little fella you're talking about. First time I see him, I'd be a little bit like, oh, what do you say? You know, what shouldn't I say? Whereas once you get to know him, I'm sure he'd be a lovely little fella.
I don't know where to start, Steve.
Well, Warwick, I think, suspected as much. He's offered you an interesting fact, actually. You're wearing headphones now. Apparently you wear those headphones for just 1 hour, and it will multiply the amount of bacteria in your ear by over 700 times.
But why is he worrying about that?
I mean... Well, he's not worrying about it. He thinks it's of interest to you because you're wearing headphones. It's part of your profession.
You wear headphones, yeah.
But Warwick asks, really, what are your thoughts on short people, particularly in entertainment? Because, of course, they've, throughout the ages, made an appearance, particularly in fiction. Tom Thumb, of course, the Oompa Loompas.
What do I think of them?
He's just wondering, you know, I suppose, what your take is.
They're alright. I mean, when I was on jury duty, when you go in the morning, you have to go into a big, sort of waiting room. And, every day I'd sort of see one pop in, and he'd be sort of struggling getting on the chair. and it sort of, it was kind of something to watch. It was different. That's what's good with things in life. If you look at stuff and you go, oh, look at that, and seeing him struggle on the chair, he was happy. He wasn't struggling in a way that he felt uncomfortable. He'd obviously climbed a lot of chairs in his time, and this was just another one. And watching him, it just makes you think. You go, I should appreciate that I don't have that problem every time I have to sit down and what have you. But I don't think it's that bad. If I had to pick being really tall or really small, I'd go for the really small one because, the world's a more interesting place for him, isn't it? Everything's bigger. Do you know what I mean? We go to New York and go, wow, look at this, and they go and they go, oh dear. Do you know what I mean? Everything's a lot bigger. Everything's more amazing. Food portions, everything's a bonus. So out of the two, I'd be small, and maybe that's what I'd chat to Warwick about for a bit, just to get to know him.
Brilliant.
It's a shame in a way that he's not been able to pop in. I'd like to hear that conversation.